Hey, what's up, everybody? It's the Liberal Loudmouth. So I just got back from like a mini vacation, and I'm trying to catch up with stuff, and I come across this video, and I'm like, oh my God, this is funny. Yeah, I'm going to show you this, and I'll explain why I think it's funny on the other side here. Let me pull it up. Just watch Joe's mannerisms and his demeanor. Just watch this.
And here comes President Biden. He's got quite a pace there. He's got his aviators on, traditional sunglasses. Joe Biden coming out, about to address the nation. He looks pretty perky. He's definitely had his Weetabix. Here he is.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you. Please. Thank you.
Just look at it. This dude is so happy with himself right now, which is crazy because I know Republicans aren't going to like that I said this about their god, Donald Trump, but the guy is a fascist, okay? If you look at in history, you go back through the fascists during World War II and leading up to World War II, he's just like them, okay? It is what it is. And he just blew out Kamala Harris in this election, which I called, and you can go to my last video to see that. I called this months ago. Okay, but here he is. He's just hopping around, just smiling. I mean, this dude couldn't be happier with himself. Like, what the hell? I think I know why he's happy. I think he's having a grand old time. I think he thinks that this is funny as hell. And the reason... and I talked about this in the last show, is that I don't think Joe Biden ever resigned. I think the DNC, that's the puppet master being Hillary Clinton, I think she's pulling these strings here, and they post the resignation letter for Joe Biden on his Twitter account. I fully believe that's what happened, because for weeks, they were saying, Joe, you've got to step down. You got to step down. You got to step down. You have to. Nancy Pelosi was begging him. All the media had gotten onto this deal, and they were just, you got to go. You have a stutter issue that we knew about when we pushed you 4 years ago, but now it's just too bad, right? So he's like, no, I'm not going to resign. I'm not resigning. I'm not resigning. You keep asking me the same damn question. F you. I'm not resigning. I'm not resigning. He just keeps repeating this over and over again. And then one day, a day after he said no, he's like, well, you know what? I'm going to think about it. And then he comes out after he thinks about it. He's like, no, I'm not resigning. The next day, they publish, or he publishes a resignation letter on Twitter, not on official letterhead. Just basically a plain white paper. I'm Joe Biden and I'm going to resign. And I think they did that without his permission, without his consent. And he found himself between a rock and a hard place, where if he admits to everybody, I did not publish that resignation letter and I am not resigning, that would have certainly handed the election over to Donald Trump, because what it would have done is signaled that there is this, quote unquote, deep state within the Democratic Party, which a lot of us Democrats, us Bernie bros, we've known this for a long time now. I mean, I've known this since 9/11, basically, when I really started getting into politics and paying attention and stuff. You start realizing that this thing is being run by these crazy people that think they're better than everybody else. So he knows that if he says this, it's going to hand Donald Trump the election. So he's like, well, I mean, I don't have a choice now because they did it, and I'm just going to go along with it. So that happened, and then she got her ass whooped. I mean, totally stomped. And he's out here smiling. He's having a grand old time, because sometimes it feels good to say, I fucking told you so. I told you. And you did it anyway, and look what you did. Look what you did. You lost. Now we're going to have to deal with these crazy-ass, cult-like, Trump-supporting, fascistic, whatever the hell, people for the next 4 years, because you wanted to force yourself on the American people. And that's what happened. And I think Hillary Clinton, I really think Hillary Clinton was behind this. They were like, Trump is so hated by people that we're going to finally be able to get a female in the White House who's a Democrat, because we want the history to show that the Democrats were so woke that we put the first female president in the White House. I think that's what this was. And, you know, probably doesn't hurt for Hillary that she would have been tapped as something, you know, Kingslayer Hillary Clinton, to go in there, you know what? Oh, we came, we saw, and he died. You remember that, when that psychopath Hillary Clinton was up there laughing about this dude being with knives and stuff, and she's giggling about it. She's a psycho. She thinks she knows better than everybody else, and she's going to do anything and everything to do it. Well, you know what? The American people said, fuck you yet again, which is what I said in 2016 when I voted for Donald Trump, because when they rigged the primary for Bernie, and I'm like, we don't want Hillary. You can see it from her crowd sizes, but she took over the DNC back then. This has come to light. This is fact. It happened. They've admitted it. It is what it is. And us, the people who were supporting the candidate that we thought was the best, we got a raw deal out of it. So we all turned around and said, you know what? Fuck you. And we voted for Donald Trump, and Donald Trump won, and she lost. So we thought, okay, we sent a message. But then 4 years later, we're like, oh my God, this guy's exhausting. Donald Trump. It's like he's like a child in there, just, I want it my way, you know, just throwing fits left and right. And it was constant bullshit, like running the country like it's a fucking reality show. So then Joe Biden comes along, and I'm just like, they do it again to Bernie. Not as blatant as it was before, but they did it again, and he wasn't even as popular either. And this guy was a neoliberal his entire life. This guy loved credit card companies. He'd jerk them off every time he got a chance. This was Joe Biden. And I'm like, what are you doing? You lost to Donald Trump and then blamed the Bernie Bros, right? That's what they did. They blamed the Bernie Bros for Hillary Clinton losing to Donald Trump. And we thought, the Bernie Bros, we thought that this message would resonate with them, right? Okay, do you get it now that we are able to screw you over and we'll burn it down if you don't listen to us? And they didn't. They didn't listen. But at that point, we felt like it was too detrimental to the country to continue down the path with Trump, even if we were not happy with the candidate that they forced on us, you know, because it's like, well, in 4 years, maybe we can change it again. But they didn't listen, and they forced this neoliberal on us. But it turned out that Joe Biden was like a sleeper. He was a sleeper Bernie Sanders type guy. He was way more progressive than any candidate that I've had in my entire life. Seriously. And he passed bills that were great and got the economy going again. But the problem is that he's old as fuck. He was old as fuck. He couldn't message very well. When you listened to him, but it was always like that. Like, we knew that that's what it was 4 years ago, you know, in 2020 when he ran. But it was like the imperative to get rid of Trump was so great that most of us were like, okay, you know what, you fucked us this time with this guy, but we're gonna let it pass, and we're gonna deal with it in another 4 years and get somebody else in there. But then he was a progressive, and he started going after corporate tax rates. And that was his downfall. Because the people that installed him in 2020, they thought he was going to be the guy that he had always been. Pro-corporate, pro-bankster, big moneyed interest kind of person. But then he started going after the corporate tax rates. And the media, owned by corporations, were like, we don't want this guy. We don't want this guy because he's going to take from us, the very wealthy, and he's going to fairly distribute it into programs that are going to help the American people, and we don't want that. So they turned against Joe Biden. That's what happened. The media, the left-wing media, although, the Clinton media is what I should say, they turned on Joe Biden. That's why after that debate, it was everybody got on board with oh, he's got to go. It was so terrible. He got to go. And for me, when I watched that debate, it didn't even register in my mind about his stuttering and stammering and how he would kind of sometimes go off track, right? I'm like listening to what he's actually saying. And when you listen to what he actually said, he was answering the questions. He was being honest. I'm not sure that he told many fibs or over exaggerations at all, in fact, in the debate. So I walked away with a different view of that debate than the media and the apparatus of the DNC. Because I came out and I'm like, Joe Biden smoked this dude in the debate. Because in my opinion, this is my opinion, a lot of people are probably going to disagree, but if you're in a debate and you lie, and you lie and you lie and you lie, you can't win a debate if all you do is lie. To me, that I don't see how we can accept that as a nation, but they got on board with it. They didn't talk about the 40, 50, 60 lies that Donald Trump told during the debate. They didn't talk about that. They were focused solely on, which is weird because he was like that 4 years ago, but now he's old. And I want to say anecdotally that I called this problem, what we're seeing right now, I actually called it like 4 years ago in 2020. I called the Thom Hartmann program, and this is an example of why the Democratic Party is so fucked up. I called the Thom Hartmann program when Biden was running, Bernie was on the ticket and it looked like the corporate shill DNC type people, I went to Yale and I drink my tea like this, and so I know better than you. Those people were pulling for Bernie Sanders, and the rest of us were like, this is a mistake. So I called Thom Hartmann's program. And I'm like, look, I'm really concerned with picking Joe Biden as a candidate because in 4 years, we may have Trump 2.0. Of course, when I was saying this, my thought process was, okay, Trump is done. But his belief in just dismantling every good part of the country and giving it to the billionaire class, that's going to, he wasn't able to do it because of how shitty he is, right? Just how rude and just obnoxious and exhausting he is, right? So I figured it would be somebody else who was a little more polished, understood politics better, had more connections in Washington, and would be successful in doing the things that we that he would be more, this next person would be more successful than Trump. Of course, I was still right, because now we have Trump 2.0, and Trump 2.0 is somebody who will be more successful than he was 4 years ago. And by successful, I'm using that literally, meaning doing the things that he wants to do, not successful in that it's a good thing, because the things that he wants to do will absolutely destroy this country, and it'll rip it apart. But that's beside the point. So when I say this to him, I'm like, look, we shouldn't be putting Joe Biden up there, because I'm very concerned. He's too old. He's a neoliberal. He always has been. And people aren't going to accept this because we didn't want it. We said no to it in 2016, and now it's being pushed on us again. And my concern is that somebody else is going to come and do better than Trump did, during his 4 years. Thom Hartmann, who is a guy that I do respect a lot. He's a very intelligent guy, but he hangs up on me, right? And I know that Thom Hartmann is a shill, right? He has a historical knowledge that is far and away better than anybody else that I've seen, really, aside from Noam Chomsky. But he is a DNC shill. I'm sure they send him emails every day. These are talking points for the day. This is, whatever. But he puts his historical knowledge to use to, kind of justify the things that go on. And he hangs up on me and he's like, I'm getting sick of these concern trolls. Like he was intimating that these Republicans were calling in, pretending to be Democrats, and then, soiling the water for Joe Biden. And this really speaks to one of the biggest problems of the Democratic Party is that you either get on board whole hog or you're a Republican, you're a fascist, you're a bigot, you're a this, you're a that, and that's how they treat you. They will devour their own if they don't toe the party line, right? But the majority of the Democrats in the party don't like that, right? They don't toe the party line. That's why we were able to get Donald Trump elected. We did that. Republicans didn't elect Donald Trump. The Bernie Bros did. And a lot of us are, we switched from Democrats to independents, right? We did that. And now, and this is something that's important that I really need to point out is that they didn't learn from 2016. They took away the wrong information, right? They're like, oh, they're all racists. Oh, it's the Bernie Bros. He was a spoil candidate. They were just mad. They were like, I'm going to take my ball and go home. That's what they said about us. So to them, they're just like, got this wall up. And they're like, well, we're doing everything right. And it was those people. Those people are the bad people. And we just don't like those people anymore. You're a bigot. I mean, that's what they did. So then 4 years come, they do the same crap that we didn't want them to do in the first place. But we went ahead, we got him elected, right? Because to us, it was more important to do that. But then you get 4 years of, just shitty politics, really, shitty messaging from Joe. But here's the thing, the perception of the economy is that it's bad. And I agree. A lot of people perceive it that way because groceries are higher. But it is weird because, and car prices too, are higher. Home prices too are higher. But here's the problem. Democrats should have done the following. They should have said, look, private equity cannot, if you're a business or a hedge fund or a corporation or whatever, you cannot buy single family homes. Prohibited. That should be prohibited because what they were doing was they're paying these massive amounts of money for all of the houses in these areas, and it's jacking the price of the housing up. That's what we're seeing in Jackson, Mississippi. They have corporations that are just devouring the entire city, and they'll revamp it and they'll use government funds to do it because people can't afford the rents now that they're charging. But they'll put, new drywall on. They might fix the roof, patch some holes, make sure the water is done and ready. You spend a couple $1,000 and your rent goes from $200 a month. Now you're charging $2,000 a month, but you're renting to people that can't afford it. This is in Jackson. I'm speaking specifically. People can't afford that. So what do they have to do? They go to the federal government. So these hedge funds are basically suckling the government teat in order to enrich themselves by getting these, Section 8 housing or whatever, and it causes the price of the housing to go up because you've reduced the supply of new housing and housing in general, and people that want a house can't buy it because these hedge funds and whatever are just gobbling them up like that. So Democrats should have come out and said, look, we're going to stop that. Biden should have done this. Biden should have said, if you're a corporation, we've got to say that you cannot buy a single family home because single family homes are not for corporations. They're for people. I think Republicans and Democrats alike get that. And then they'll take these rentals that they get. All of the 50, 60 rentals that that they're buying up, they package them and put them on the stock market. REITs, I believe, is what they're called. rental, whatever investment, whatever the fuck. It's it's just another Wall Street. I'm going to suck as much money out of the economy as I can. So housing prices are up, but this isn't technically Biden's fault, right? He didn't tell hedge funds to go out and buy these places. And I'm sure Republicans will claim that they did, but they didn't. This was a money-making scheme by Wall Street, and greedy people are going to do what's going to get them the most money. I mean, this isn't, it's not like this should surprise anybody, but they didn't do anything to really message to people that this is why your housing price is so expensive. And the eggs, milk, bread, those things are expensive, but this too wasn't Trump's fault, and it wasn't Biden's fault. But it is what it is. These greedy corporations saw an opportunity to increase their pay and have something else to blame. So they did it. That's why we see across the board these record profits of these corporations. We've got people on video, CEOs admitting, we're going to continue to increase prices until we can't, because they know that people need food and they need these basic essentials. And if they can just keep increasing the price until they get to a point where sales drop so much that it's offsetting or whatever, that's how they did it. They admitted this in calls with, their shareholders and stuff. This isn't conspiracy. This happened. This is why your prices of goods are so good. But Democrats couldn't get this across to these people because they're fucking idiots. And, so a lot of these problems had nothing to do with the Democratic Party, had nothing to do with Joe Biden, but they just couldn't get it out there. But what they're going to do after this loss, they're not going to self-reflect like that. They're going to do like Joe Scarborough. Oh, it's the bigots. Well, it just proves that bigotry exists within Mexican communities and bigotry exists within black communities. And I even heard Al Sharpton, I believe it was, he's on Morning Joe. He's talking about, and they even hate each other.
This before, a lot of Hispanic voters have problems with black candidates.
Right.
A lot
and
of,
with other Hispanics. You got some that don't like each other. And some of the most misogynist things I've heard going on this Get Out the Vote tour came from black men.
What? This is your takeaway. This is what you think cost the election, is misogyny and racism within Hispanic communities. What the fuck Twilight Zone do you live in? You idiot. You're going to keep losing. They aren't going to learn from this lesson, just like they didn't learn from the lesson in 2016 when we told Hillary Clinton to go fuck herself. We told the Democratic Party to go fuck themselves. And they didn't get it. They walked away. Oh, it's because she's a woman. That's what it is. Oh, it's the Bernie Bros. It's the Bernie Bros. This was an outlier. Don't worry. We're going to force another candidate down your throat that you don't want, and you're going to do it because, man, look at the other guy. They aren't going to get it this time either. I don't know what it's going to take. I don't know what it'll take to get them to pay attention. But the moment they realize you have to have a candidate that is a populist candidate, because let me tell you something about Kamala that I just never fucking liked. And really about these politicians that speak in politicking ways. It's so fake when you're out there. Oh, I'm going to do this and that. No, and you're asked a question, and instead of just fucking answering it, you're like, well, let me talk around the question. It's fake ass shit. And people aren't so stupid to think that, oh my God, that sounds so intelligent. They must be way smarter than me. And therefore I must let them run everything because they get it. They know, and I'm too stupid to figure it out. So I'm just going to vote for the people that sound really smart. We're done with that. Okay. The American people aren't a group of deep thinkers. All right. But I mean, this is true for every country. The majority of the population aren't deep thinkers. They just aren't. They don't delve into the meta and the nuance of everything. They just aren't. And if you're messaging, it takes all these facts and figures and statistics. And, but look at this. It was 13% here. And then you come down and if you follow the bar chart and then you compare these two from 3 years ago and you just, this is the messaging of Democrats. What the fuck? And then you've got Donald Trump out there. Well, I'm going to destroy some shit, okay? I'm going to go in there and I'm just going to cut shit in half. Well, how are you going to do that? Because I'm Donald Trump. I'm Donald Trump. And you just repeat it and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. And you gain the confidence of people because, he's going to do that. He's going to deep state and destroy it. And, that's what he's going to do. It's like they're in a trance. It's like, oh my God, I can repeat his talking points without thinking about it. And it's really easy. And I don't need some extremely educated person to really package the information into a usable manner. No, I'm an idiot and I'm just going to say the same 6 words over and over and over and over and over again. Democrats have to do that. Their messaging has to be stupider. But they're not, again, they're not going to get it because we're educated. We're the group of college degrees and acceptance. If you're a woman or if you're a man and you don't do very well in your own segment of the sporting world, what you can do is put on a dress. You don't even have to cut your penis off. Just put on a dress, call yourself a woman, and you can compete with the women. And we accept that. This is what it's nuts. No wonder you lost. You can't figure it out. It's like, no, I don't want to. I'm glad that there's an openly trans person now that's in office. The first one, Sarah McBride. That's awesome. But what? We accept them. We tolerate this. But stop demanding that people just go along with this shit. You're losing. You keep losing because you latch onto this stupid shit. Affirm, affirm, affirm. Trans women are women. Right. So a woman with a penis is a woman. Let's put them in boxing. How about we get them to go swimming? It's like, well, they are at a disadvantage if they haven't castrated themselves because, when you're swimming, it's all about aerodynamics. And if you've got a dingle-dangle, well, it's going to offset your bone density and your lung capacity and your muscle mass when you got the dingle-dangle because your aerodynamics aren't solid. We know that's not true. The Democratic Party is done. Okay. I don't agree with Republicans on a whole lot. But I understand why they latched on to Big Daddy Trump. They're like, oh, we want a strong man to do all the things that we can't figure out how to do. Because the alternative is a bunch of idiots that think they're better than you. And if you disagree with them, it's because you're a bigot. It's not because we're doing anything wrong. No, you're the bigot. You're sexist. My daughter was exposed to this nasty shit in the library. Pictures, not just words. I don't give a shit about the words in a book. But when you're putting pictures of cum shots and penises and boobs and rape in graphic depiction in a public fucking library, in a school library, there's something wrong with that. And I'm like, what? Why are we arguing about this, Democrats? But no, I'm a bigot. I hate trans people. I had to sue this school for banning me after I'd gone after this book because they were pissed, I guess, that it had blown up in the media. It made national news. And I get a postcard, my home address, from the fucking Comic Legal Defense Fund calling me a Christo-fascist. Actually, I think I sent that dude an email after that. And I'm like, dude, I just want to let you know, first of all, I'm a fucking atheist. And second of all, I'm a liberal. So if a liberal is a fascist, then I guess you're a fascist too. And a Christo-fascist, that's the first thing they latch onto. I don't know, for all the intelligence of the Democratic Party, they sure are fucking stupid. They just, oh, you're a bigot. And like this friend I have, this friend is an influencer, big influencer, huge following. I'm not going to say who it is. Huge following. And they'll affirm all the time. Trans people, yay. Trans people, yay. Because this person's kids are trans. And I have private conversations with this person. Like, intimate conversation, not like romantic, but intimate, friendly. It's sensitive conversation, things I wouldn't share with other people because it's none of their business. But in private, this person that's pro, got the little ring around their profile picture, the rainbow and shits. And I love trans people and trans women are women. This person in private, it's like, okay, now my youngest is trans. What the fuck? What's going on? Seriously, and even before the youngest became trans, this person was like, I don't understand why it's like this. What's happening? And it's like, I'm so glad to hear you say that, but I really wish that you would come out publicly and say it too. It's so disingenuous to affirm. So this person, whom I respect a great deal, despite this person's inability or unwillingness to come forward with this, like, side eye, like, what are we doing, y'all? I do respect this person, but and if this person, this influencer is like that, could you imagine how many others are out there who post on, I affirm my child came out and blah, 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 blah. I imagine a lot of these people are afraid that they're going to kill their kids if they don't affirm. I think that's true. I think a lot of them are now afraid because that's what Democrats have been telling them will happen. If you don't do this, your child's going to die. Your child's going to kill themselves. So the fear of your child dying is a very, very, very strong motivator for anything. It just is. So if somebody keeps beating into your head, if you don't do this, your child's going to die. A lot of these parents they don't want their kid to die. Well, studies show that trans kids will kill themselves the moment that their parents say no. And that's just not true. It is kind of weird because, when my kids are growing up, my kids are almost grown now, but when my kids were younger and they would start screaming in the store wanting something, wanting a candy bar or a pop or whatever, and they start throwing a fit, I didn't care what I was doing or how inconvenient it was to me. If I'm in that store, got a getting cart full of shit, and my kid starts doing that, I look at him and say, if you don't stop, I'm going to walk your ass right out to that car, and we're going to sit there until you finish. Or I'll say, if you don't do it, we'll leave. And you don't just threaten it. It takes 2, maybe 3 times to do this. And those kids learn real quick. And all you have to do, once you've done that, and I've done it with each of my kids, if you don't stop doing this, I'm going to take your ass out to the car, and we're going to sit there until you stop, and then we'll go back in. And if it's me and my wife together, like, do you want to be in here shopping? Yeah. Well, if you don't stop, we're going to go out there, and we're going to sit, and your mom is going to finish this. Is that what you want to do? Yeah. And if they keep doing it, You actually follow through on it. You take their ass out to the car and you sit there and be like, man, it'd be nice to be in there. Could have actually gotten you something, but, you decided you didn't want to act right. You wanted to do what you wanted to do. This is behavior modification. I didn't have to beat my kids. You do things like that, they listen. I've got extremely good kids. But you have to be firm. You have to be fair. But you have to also respect them. And when things come up like that, you explain it to them. Why? You say, this is why this is happening to you right now. This is why I'm doing this. And you don't do it out of anger. You do it out of the need to discipline your kids. So when you've got a child who doesn't know what's best for them, okay? In some cases, yes, they understand it, or they are able to make their own choices because those choices are more personal in nature, right? You let them make those choices because their whole lives are, being told what to do. So the moment you give them something that they choose for themselves, what it is that they want to do, that gives them this avenue to make those decisions for themselves and then see how it works out, But with those kids that come home, 14 years, little Susie grew up, wearing dresses that she picked out. Playing with Barbies that she picked out, doing dainty, girly things, things that you would attribute with feminine qualities, right? And all of her own doing, and playing with other girls and playing dolls with other girls and all these girly things. And then all of a sudden, when they turn 12 or 13, they come home and they're like, I'm a boy. You have to be discerning as parents. But you also can't be ridiculous either, because gender dysphoria does exist, and it is something that does affect people. But from all that I've seen, we're talking this thing starts at 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. It starts early. Now, they try to come up with these studies. Our studies show the average trans thing really starts to take hold at like 17 years old. I mean, I'm exaggerating. But you see what I'm saying? Like you're being lied to about a lot of things. So then you end up with influencers like that person. When they're like, okay, I'm starting to check out here. And you think about that, and once they feel empowered to just be like, you know what, I'm done with all this. I'm tired of having to force myself to get behind this, when in my mind, in my discerning mind of my parent mind, I'm like, this doesn't seem right that now all of my children are trans. There's the likelihood of all children being gender dysphoric is, nearly impossible. But here we are. And this person in private would be like, I don't get it. This has to be some kind of fad. I'm just, this time we're not going to do it. That's what this person said. We're not doing it this time around. They finally, after I think 4 kids, were like, no. We're not doing this anymore. But publicly, it's still pro-trans. And, I'm not pro-trans, but I'm not anti-trans. Because it doesn't, if you were going to dress up or whatever, I don't care. I really don't care. I will sit, have a coffee, drink, whatever, elect even somebody who's trans. And I really don't give a shit, how, if you feel that way or whatever. And to me, if you look like a female, it is what it is. But if you're walking around, you got a big old dress or a big old beard and stuff, and my eyes are deceiving me, it's hard for me to reinvent my nomenclature to be the opposite of what my eyes are telling me, right? And then if you get upset by that seems weird to me. It's like, surely you understand why some people will misgender you. Now, there are assholes that will do it on purpose, right? If somebody corrects you and says, I prefer being called whatever, and they say it, in a nice way, it's like, oh, okay, I'm sorry, my bad. And I'll try. I'll try to respect your wants, because it doesn't matter to me if I call you Susan or Johnny. It doesn't matter, but don't get mad at me when my eyes are still looking at Susie. It's understandable for most people. And I think if Democrats hadn't latched onto that, a lot of the problems that we're having, I don't think would have happened. But, maybe I'm wrong there. But it's funny to watch liberals go nuts here because it's kind of a self-inflicted wound. When you aren't willing to burn something down that's not working, it's just going to that can's going to keep getting kicked down the road. And then you end up with a more extreme thing like Trump. I mean, I thought it was funny because I think it was Matt Walsh had come out the other day and was like, okay, now that the campaign's over, maybe we should tell people that, yeah, Project 2025 is our policy. And it was ours. Now they're admitting that they openly lied to you. How stupid are you? Because we knew it, but maybe you have to destroy something to fix it. Maybe that's what we need to do. So in the vein of respecting the democratic process here, and overwhelmingly Trump was supported in the popular vote and the Electoral College. So because I respect our Constitution and our process, I have to say, I hope you guys get exactly what it was that you wanted. The education department's gone. I mean, that's what you wanted. That's what you voted for. You knew that was coming. Department of Homeland Security, gone. Military budget, gonna cut it. Cool. All right. All of these departments that keep us safe, like architectural boards and the EPA and the FDA, instead of reinventing them, instead of overhauling them, they're just going to get rid of them. Okay, that's what you wanted. I hope you get it. I really do. I hope you get it within the first week, because it will take a long time for the ramifications, the full effect of what you're trying to do. It'll take a while for it to turn out that way. So I hope you get it, and I hope you get it early, and I hope Donald Trump does exactly what he says that he will do. I really hope he does. I pray that he does everything that you wanted him to do, because we know what the outcome of that looks like. We've already seen it over history. We're actually seeing it currently now in modern days in other countries where these far right-wing dictator types take over. Imagine the media, if anybody gets out of line, IRS comes. Because Donald Trump, he isn't going to get rid of the IRS. He's not going to get rid of the FBI either. He's not going to get rid of the CIA. He's going to use them as tools to go against his political opponents and to make sure that Republicans just own everything. Like literally, they want to take over all parts of the government so that nobody can oppose them again, right? Because he was so embarrassed in 2020 that he doesn't ever want to feel that again. I'm a winner. I got to win at all costs. That's Donald Trump. So they're going to try and make sure that, an opposing party can't win now. So I hope that you get everything you want, but I'm just going to sit here and when your family or your neighbor is being deported, okay, or the farm down the road shuts down because they don't have any workers, I'm not going to cry for you. I'm not going to, I may not even say I told you so, as good as that would feel. This is what you wanted. We are a democracy, and if the country wants to go towards a fascist dictator, I mean, it is what it is. We'll have to end up fixing it later once you finally realize that you were lied to. You didn't think about the consequences of your actions before you made them. You were reacting emotionally. You were being petty. You were being bullies, which you were. You were doing the things that I criticized my own party for doing. And you want those things. And I really, really hope that you get them, because it's going to be funny to watch. I will be this guy if you get them. I will be this laughing, smiling, just hopping and skipping and jumping. And, it's like, I'm not going to say it, but I told you so. So please push Donald Trump to do his Project 2025, which, they now admit he is a part of, and that's his policy. Please, I hope you get it. You deserve it. You deserve it. But in the meantime, let's laugh at the liberals who cry and moan and piss and moan while they continue to just suckle on the establishment, DNC, Hillary Clinton teat, and blame everybody but themselves for what just happened, because that's what they do. Anyway, this is the Liberal Loudmouth. I will catch y'all next time. Peace.